That's the double too. Can you dry a sleeping bag in a dryer, Rebecca?
Tumble dry low, but it says don't use the top load, which is all we have.
Getting the butter done before we leave.
And here I have two projects, two quilt projects, two quilt tops in a bag my mother gave me. It says a word on it that I wasn't allowed to say when I was a kid, and I don't remember my parents saying it either. So I still feel like I'm being naughty with this bag, even though I do say that word. And kind of blows my mind that my mom gave it to me still. Okay, so two quilts. This one has a very hodgepodge back, but it's a scrap quilt. I sandwiched it together. My daughters pinned it together for me. I thought I could skip the ironing. I cannot, because down the middle of the back, I don't know if you'll be able to see, this crease not come out of it, so I have to iron that. So this back, I didn't have a big enough piece of fabric. In 2020, we used up all of our stash. We legitimately had no more yarn, no more roving, no more fabric, nothing. And that was pretty wild considering I'd had a stash for my whole life pretty much. And we had Azariah that year, and all of the fabric that we did have, other than we knew a little girl that I made a quilt for that was born that year as well, and I was able to make hers out of pink and orange. And then after that, everything I made for Azariah was blue and white. People were like, you must have known you were having a boy. No, my fabric stash did. All right, might have to go get some water. So that's my long story short, is what I have now is very varied. Stuff that's been given to us, a few things that I've purchased, and some more things that I've gotten from the thrift store. This might just need to heat up a little bit. Set on the right one. And actually, most of this fabric in this quilt back came from, friends of mine. And then, maybe the entire back actually. I have not ironed a thing in years at this point. I don't think. No, for sure. Not since moving out here. And we've been here 2.5 years. So. I need another table. Don't have room. I have wanted to do I mostly do big stitch quilting, hand stitching, and I have wanted to do this for years, but I do not like sandwiching quilts. It's the only part of the process I do not like. Second to, well, the second thing I dislike is binding. Okay, can you set that on the other quilt behind me on the floor? Mm-hmm. So this quilt, when we moved into our last rental, a friend had left a bunch of fabric that she didn't want, including a bunch of, I think they were 2.5-inch squares. And that's what the quilt top is all those squares. And that's when I realized that even though I didn't have to cut out all the squares, the best thing is to strip piece little square tables like that. Quilts. I could probably just tighten up my ironing board cover, but I'm half done. Also, I think I went at this maybe the wrong, no I didn't. I was gonna say the wrong direction. The ironing board. So, of the two quilts, I'll show you the front of this one. Probably not going to do a whole lot of filming until I'm actually doing some quilting on it, but I can insert a little footage of the quilt front. I would definitely string piece is the wrong term, I think. I would definitely sew it together in strips and then cut the strips, because it was many hours of sewing together all the little blocks, and it did not make a big quilt top. I think it's a little, I would consider it shy of a twin. I don't know that it actually is though. But it's also not quite a postage stamp quilt, so I call it my big postage stamp quilt, because all the postage stamps are pretty big. I think they finished out at 2 or 1.5. I could check. I'm gonna call that done. Okay. Yeah, I need to redo that cover. This is just made it bigger by adding these extra strips on the outside. I was hoping that this big block in the middle and these doodly flowers would be enough, and it was not. So we had to go a bit bigger. Now it's a little too big, which what I will probably do is use the back of the quilt as the binding. Just come around to the front, which was how I used to do most of my binding, because it felt so wasteful to cut bias tape. So I would either buy it or I would not cut it properly. Okay, so I'm hoping that I can sandwich this together with a big girl tonight. My ankle is still not, I don't get down on the ground as much as I should, because my ankle is not too happy. This was a Rowenta iron, and I haven't been all that pleased with it, even though it was the iron I wanted for 10 or 15 years. And I've since found that you want to make sure it's the one made in Germany, not the United States. Of course. It's fine. It works. And it's my first new iron ever. And I've had it for probably 6 or 7 years. So this quilt I'll show you later. This one's going to be a gift for a friend. And this front, I'll just show you now. I'm sure I showed you the footage already, but this is it. The front didn't need ironed to meet my standards. It might after my folding job. But I hope to sandwich this one together this evening with the girls. We are currently in the thick of getting Patrick's shop done. So today's Wednesday. We're hoping to pour the walls next week. It's ICF, insulated concrete form. So you have your styrofoam forms that you stack up like Legos and then you fill it with concrete. So we're hoping to be ready for that next week. He had a mission today to get to town, get the bracing he needs to hold the walls up. Why am I so out of breath? So he got to the closest town and I broke down. So he's been dealing with vehicle issues today instead of one of our 2 days between now and pour day that are rainless. So that's fun. So hopefully that doesn't put us back, but we will see. So this one, I can give you a little sneak peek. It's an alphabet quilt. I was given the blocks by my mother and got the quilt top done and didn't finish it. Story of my life. I have probably a tote and a half, probably well over 2 dozen quilt tops. A couple of them I've thrifted. Most of them I have made and not continued on. Some of them are 20 years old. Part of that was I didn't know that it was okay to do big stitch quilting, which I love the look of, but I thought it was the wrong way. Now, I know that's not true, and I love doing it after I sandwich it. So, I'm gonna go finish my coffee and knit a little bit on a shawl, which I'll show you that. And I don't know what else I might add to this video. Something or nothing, I guess.
Maker uses, so I don't even like do a lot of exploration in that sense. So I don't have the knowledge to really customize how something fits me, and
so this is a shawl, and I'm using this kind of variegated, not really, I don't know what they call it, yarn, and I'm pulling from the inside and the outside so that there's different colors. So the very middle and the outside were just this purple, and then the outside started having a little bit of yellow. How this yarn works, it's basically just 4 threads, and I'm holding it double, so there's 8. And this is not my favorite yarn to knit with, but I do like the feel of the fabric when it's done. I've made a couple of things, which Joelle and I are starting another channel, which kind of sounds silly considering we're not doing that great with either of our channels right now. But we're going to do like a creative podcast. So, I don't know, once or twice a month have a podcast come out. So there'll be more information over there and more projects that I've made with this yarn, though I do not intend on buying more of this yarn. But what it is 4 plied, I don't know if you can see it, 4 plied pieces of string, but they're not plied together. So it's very easy to lose one when you're knitting. And they're strong and I like them. But the way they change the color is they just tie a tiny knot to hold, like this purple will bring in another green. And so there'll be a little tiny knot that you don't notice in your finished product that will bring in the green that way. So it just ties into the next one. And I really like it. It's 100% cotton. I just don't like necessarily working with it. This is pattern, sort of. Okay, I started the shawl. It's called Shawl Jean, I think, on Ravelry. I'll link it below. But what I basically did, was the first, I don't know, 5 or 8 rows, I followed the pattern. And then maybe I continued the pattern. I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to the rest of the pattern. I just was like, well, this will give me what I want, and I'm just going to do that. So, at first I didn't like how this was fading in, but it's growing on me. And by the time I get to the bottom, it's just going to be the yellow and green. I think it's going to look pretty good, but I've thought through how to fix these problems now, and I fixed them. Before I was like, oh, that's annoying, I'm not ripping back to that, when I could have just fixed it and didn't know it. Simple, easy fix. But see how this yarn wasn't caught? Maybe you can see that. If you can't, I'll take a picture. But I have a few of them through the shawl, and this was Wisdom's yarn. I've had some for myself, but this is Wisdom's. She didn't want to work with it, and after I started working with it, she said that she didn't realize she could hold it double, didn't think about holding it double. So I think she would have liked working with it. But I just told her I'd make her something, and if she liked it, she could have it, and if she didn't, she could do something else with it. I'm mainly doing this because I was avoiding sandwiching my quilts, which is really dumb. But I don't like that job. If you do like that job, I have way too many quilts that can be sandwiched if you're interested. Not really. I'll put my big girl panties on and get it done. But I'm just watching a knitting podcast, or more like crafting, because she's spinning and doing other things. Just another person that this is my first video of hers. It's Adventure Denali. Don't know anything about her. I know 11 minutes of her crafts. That's it. So, just have that playing while I'm doing this knitting, and yeah, that's pretty much just it. I have a iced coffee. I call it a coffee milk because I'm not posh enough to want iced coffee, and it's mostly milk. But it's a nice little snack while I work on this. I don't know if I said it. This is 100% cotton. It's yarn from Hobby, which is also Hobbii, I think. It's overseas. I think it's Europe. And that I bought it 2 or 3 years ago. I don't think I'll buy from them again, because a lot of their yarn just feels really cheap. This one's nice. I really like this. I haven't seen how it wears yet, though. But, you know, their yarn's fine. It's super budgety, which is good. But also, not so budgety now when you have to pay a 50% tariff on it. So I probably would not purchase from them again, and not necessarily recommend it until or if our tariffs are removed. And I could be remembering wrong. Maybe they're not from the UK. I don't remember. But I like it. I'm just trying to get back into the groove. I got into the groove of doing it again, and I was really working on it, and then Patrick left for a week, and he needs the computer for work, and I have not gotten back into doing any of the computery stuff, which has been nice, but also like looms over my head. You want to do this, you need to do this, let's do this. It's evening. I think I'm just gonna mostly be done for the evening. I'll do some, we've been playing games with the children before we go to bed. Excuse me. At least the 3 littles. And that's been really nice. Some of the others will join in sometimes. And mostly I'm just going to call it a night. But if you play any games tonight, I might get you shown. But this is just a little short, something to get back into the groove. I really want to do every day in December. Which for me, I know that means I have to start filming now. And have a couple that lead up to December. And also start in on December's videos. So we'll see if I can get that done. I'm also trying to get a lot of videos done for Patrick's channel. A couple hiccups. One, I don't really, I don't do music on videos because they'll tell you to take it down later when you no longer have rights to that music, or they will turn off the music, and that's just weird. And so he has some what is it called, time lapses. Well, those are boring if you don't have music or voiceovers. So I think I have 4 or 5 edited for him to that point where he puts on some music in those spots or voices over them. But also, he's so busy. Also, I don't know what good man music is. You know. So that's not something I'm gonna do. And then we're still actively videoing so that we can have the whole shop build on that. So between trying to do both channels and a lot going on with his right now, or should be going, a lot going on with his business right now to video. Yeah, I might not make my goals. We'll see. But, and wanting to start another channel because I don't know why. Our problem is we can't think of what we want to name it. We thought a lot of different routes and nothing feels like, oh, that's it. So I might just put in, I don't know, generic podcast until we can come up with something. I don't know. But, or maybe we just will continue not to start until we have it. I don't know. But I'm going to get back to my knitting and my coffee. And we'll see you next time. Bye.